Yo, it's Guido coming at you with a tactics talk, and today we have Indignant Maple from Clan Indig in his RHM bottom tier in a tier 10, and he is on Himmel's Pilsendorf. Spawned into the south spawn, and we have an encounter battle. Now he's going to do something pretty cool here. By the way, he has binoculars. What in the actual... That's pretty cool. Let's see if the binoculars come in handy. I know, but we're going to find out. Alright, a little foreshadowing right there. On Pilsen, encounter, very interesting actually. You tend to get a bit of a brawl over in the factories, although you get that on the standard mode as well. You can get capped out on this if you're not careful, because often you'll get what you see over here. You know, critical terrain has been a subject we've talked about. I don't know if there is an obvious critical terrain on this map. I think both sides are just about as important. And it's one of the maps where there's a decent amount of crossflow and crossfire, so the whole map is pretty much important. Now, that being said, you can make a good push in the factories, win, and come back or start to push across. You can have a big push over in the field or the slag piles or whatever you want to call it on the east and come around behind them, flank them and all that good stuff. Pretty easy to come back from both those spots and go to the other side in case one of the flanks fails. So I kind of like this map actually. It's kind of wide open. There's a bit of scouting that can go on over on the east side over there as well, and you can see that Indignant Maple's team is pushing hard. So let's pause for this for just a second, kind of take a look at the mini-map. A good push by the Maples team on the east is pushing into them. That's quite dangerous actually with this many guns left in the game. It can get shredded pretty quickly, but it looks like the purple team didn't really put much there. They lost their even 90, and the 432 decided to just not let that even 90 do the Pac-Man thing. They just ran over the poor dude, and now we've pushed in. So you can lose a lot of hit points doing that, or if the enemy team doesn't make an appropriate counter or hasn't invested enough tanks over there, a big advantage can be made by the green team. That being said, when we look over at the cap, cap is sort of looking a little bit, I don't know, shall we say light? Let's put it that way. And Indignant Maple is running the big gun. He's got the big boom boom on this thing. Quite a long reload, but it hits for 750, and that's a lot of damage for a tier 8. ISU kind of levels. This is the Russian version. The RHM has a turret, has okay-ish mobility, and what you're seeing here is Indignant Maple is going to come back over towards the cap. He's going to pause and see if he has some shots. Notice that his team is gobbling up the other side, but what we have to watch out for right here is that they don't jump on cap and out-cap us, or get a couple guys on, clean out the greens down there in the south of the factories, and then spread out and keep the Pac-Man stuff over in the east from getting in there and resetting. What they do not know, however, is that Indignant Maple is all over this, alright? So he took his RHM to the sniper spot, and this is the stuff we've been talking about with the whole critical terrain and then reacting to the battle at hand. One thing I haven't talked about a whole bunch lately is tiering, and what tier you are might change what you do. Right, so he went down to the sniper spot, hung out there for a bit. It's a very thin, zero armor TD. Was looking to support what usually ends up being a bit of a stagnant fight over there in the east, at least for a while, but his team nom just cruised through. Then he noticed that the enemy team had a stronger force over on the west side, comes in here and then starts decapping. So we have one RHM hanging out here, and this chieftain's just not really paying attention. Thump him. Another 8. And the poor CC-67 was looking somewhere else. And just like that, Indignant Maple pulls the pressure off of the team for the whole cap thing. All of the guys up there in the northeast can take their time chewing up those guys. They don't want to take too long because they'd really like to get over there and start helping. And meanwhile, because the two purples got on the cap and sat there, which is kind of useless, instead of bringing their guns over there to start killing the green tanks, Indignant Maple's able to get in there, take a tank that you might not consider a decapping machine, right? Necessarily, especially not on a kind of knife fighting spot like this, but goes in there and makes it happen, right? If you're counting noses, say you're the other team, or even if it's just you and you're looking at this fight and you're kind of assessing where all of the tanks are, one of the last tanks you would expect to show up and start shooting on the cap would be an RHM, right? So it is easy, potentially, for him to get in there and get shredded. You know, if he just pokes out and a couple guys are looking, boom, boom, he's out of the game. But he's able to get in there in a smart way, decap him twice. What, he got 2 kills? He got 1 kill out of those. And now he's just sort of farming damage of people who are wandering around. I don't know what this Tiger 2 is doing. The 110E3 is trying to get rid of the Progetto 65. A couple decaps so that that cap pressure is no longer on the team, and then the team can be a little more careful about what they're doing. And in any event, his guys that were in the factories right there were being all they could be to defeat the forces that were in there. And of course now here comes the Pac-Man from the east side of the map, cruising over to the north, taking out the campers up in the top. They tended to lose a few of the guys coming in there. Some of them flowed back into the middle to help out at the cap, and it's just a romple stomp. Something that was looking pretty even, a potential for the west flank to maybe lose or start to get beat down on hit points, and just a nice little move by one player in an unlikely tank to do so, the RHM. But that's that tiering thing, and I'm really trying to bring that myself into my gameplay a little bit more. It's always been there, and we've talked about it, but in general, I used to say, well, it doesn't matter what tier you are, go to the place your tank is going to be the most effective. And I think that's still true. That's what Indignant Maple did right there, but those places, at least the way I'm assessing them, are a little different these days. I might have taken my RHM over to the 0 column and tried to nom up with all those guys, but he was sitting on the sniper spot, which is a good spot, good initial position. There's no shots, and then he looks over and he goes, oh, there's a situation over there I can help with. So he heads on over there and he carefully jumps out, takes a couple shots, and just like that, we got a nice victory. Obviously, a lot of other tanks and guys made kills, and it was important what was going on in the west. The guys in the east did a really nice job. So overall, this ends up looking like a pretty big slaughter. Not as bad as many, but 15-5 is pretty much romple stomp territory. But it really wasn't looking that way for a while. And again, I'm not saying that Maple's single move over there changed everything, but it was definitely a serious linchpin to the thing, right? Once he thumps a couple of those guys, and now other people are like, okay, good, we got somebody decapping them. We can continue doing what we're doing. Nobody has to rush over and lose hit points to do so. And it's great in this case because this is a tank that you would normally expect would be still sitting in a bush somewhere hiding out, right? It's unexpected when a tank like that gets forward. Maybe if you're sitting on the cap and you're the purple guys, you're thinking, well, all right, let's hang out here. We're doing pretty good. We're getting some cap points out of this. You look at the enemy roll over there and you go, well, all right, I know where all those guys are. Oh, and I don't really expect a guy in an RHM to roll up here and pop me in the face, which he did. So fantastic, man. Nicely done. We get 2,904 damage, which is quite good, actually, for a Tier 8 and a Tier 10 battle. That's pretty good. 181 assists. We got 1 kill out of that, and a really important move in that mid-game period that, personally, I think went a long way to helping this team win. So thanks for sending that in, Maple. I appreciate everybody's support of the channel. Go ahead and tap that subscribe button if you'd like to. If you're looking for other ways to support the channel and my efforts, you can find those down in the description. That's all I've got for today. We will see you.